everybody and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at these two pigments from Daniel Smith, the Quinacridone Gold and the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. Now I did already swatch a little bit out in these boxes here so that you could kind of get an idea of what's going to happen when we glaze down, but I'm also going to swatch them over these ink swatches here so that we could get an idea of the transparency of the pigment. And I think we're going to take and mix some of these colors with some of my other Daniel Smith colors to see what kind of mixing possibilities we have, as well as some comparisons to other Quinacridone Golds and P048, which is the Quinacridone Burnt Orange, which I think the most obvious competitor for this would probably be like transparent red iron oxide, which of course is a mineral color, versus this, which is more of a dye-based Quinacridone color. But this is new pigment to me, Quinacridone Burnt Orange, P048 on its own at least. I would usually prefer like a transparent red iron oxide or something like that. So this is new. I've never had this in any format. Now this is Daniel Smith's Quin Gold Hue. This is their new like hue color. Remember they used to have a stockpile of the genuine Quin Gold? Well, that's not what this is anymore. It's a combination of P048 and PY150. If we compare that to this is Quin Gold by Core. I think Quin Gold by Core is a little bit more punchy, but it might just be how that is there. But yeah, so we're going to compare it to other Quinacridone Gold type hues. I also have M grams and of course Winsor and Newton, so we could take a look at that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. If you wouldn't mind, hit the like button because it really helps me out. So I'm going to take, and it's hard when you're working with, I just put it out here because I wasn't sure if I wanted to add this to my Daniel Smith palette of colors or not. I mean, I probably will, but I just put little blobs out in my flower dish for now. I was thinking of setting up a new porcelain palette. I had purchased the Stephen Quiller, not the Stephen Quiller porcelain palette. I have that one. I meant the Tom Lynch. But, oh yeah, there we go. So you can definitely get it darker, as you can see, when you glaze over. But I've had some issues with that, and you'll see that in an upcoming video what I'm talking about if it's not already posted by the time you see this. I don't always upload in the order that I film, so I probably will add this to my metal box. I was thinking of putting together another porcelain palette, and so that's kind of what I bought these for. So here's the Quinacridone Burnt Orange. We're going to glaze that. Beautiful fiery color. Now if I compare this to like a transparent red iron oxide, I would say like comparatively it's definitely more orange, as the name would imply, and more fiery. You know, like here's PR101 right there. And that's like the perfect tiger orange kind of color. I really like that. All right, so let's go ahead and do that over the black line. Get a nice juicy brush. I already know this is going to be transparent. I trust Daniel Smith when it comes to their transparency rating. As you can see, I am familiar with Quinacridone pigments as well, so good flow and movement. Look at that. And you know what? Let's put a little bit more out. I think I could do more than that. A little bit more. I picked up small tubes because usually when I pick up watercolor, I tend to go for the larger tubes just right off the bat because I feel like you get more bang for the buck usually that way. And I know, you know, if it's a color that I love, I know I'm going to use it up. But since I wasn't sure about these pigments, wasn't sure if I wanted, I'm just experimenting with these colors, I picked up the smaller tubes. Alright, and now the Quinacridone Gold. It does not say Quinacridone Gold Hue, but I feel like it should. Now, nobody is doing that. Even because Quinacridone Gold, as many of us know, was discontinued by the manufacturer, the pigment itself. Little bit, it's leaving a deposit on that white line. It probably will dry more transparent, but you know, thickly like that, it is leaving a little bit of a mess on the line. Beautiful flow though, look at that. Gorgeous. Wow. I feel like the color shift here, wet to dry on these two, was minimal. So I'm pleased with that. It wasn't as much as I was expecting, as I've seen from some other brands. So the first thing I want to do is let's go ahead and just mix a few colors together, because when I think Quinacridone Gold, I like to think about like what kind of a beautiful sap green that I could mix. So I think what I will do is, let me take a little bit of phthalo blue. I'm going to move this hopefully somewhat into the shot, right there. Okay, so you can at least see me mixing. So here's the mixture that I've created with phthalo blue and that Quinacridone Gold. It's a little bit dirtier of a mixture, to be completely honest, than I was expecting. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that. Deepen it a little bit. It's a little dirtier than usually a Quinacridone Gold would mix out. But, you know, I did want kind of a sap green, an earthy green. But honestly, the way that mixed out, you'd almost think I used like an ultramarine blue. And I think it's just that Quinacridone Gold is a little bit more toward the orange than some other. Yeah, see, that's a little too olivey. It's a little too dirty. It's pretty, but I think that Quinacridone Gold's a little bit more like a honey gold, a little bit more toward the orange than some other Quin Golds I've used. It's not really a problem. It's just, it's not good or bad. It's just a characteristic of it. Let's see what happens when we mix it with, and I think we need more. Let's see what happens when we mix it with, say, a red, like a rose red. Let's give that a go. Pick some of that up. I like the consistency of Daniel Smith paints fresh out of the tube. See how it's kind of, it's thick and creamy, but not sticky like a honey-based paint, and it's not runny either. It's a nice viscosity. It's a nice consistency to work with, even fresh out of the tube. I'm going to take some, I think this is rose on my palette here. Nope, that's not rose. That is permanent alizarin crimson. Oh, well, close enough. Mix that in there a little bit, see what kind of a color we can come up with. And I feel like we kind of just came up with Quinacridone Burnt Orange. See that? See how close that is? So if you have Quin Gold and you have Quin Permanent Alizarin Crimson, or something of the equivalent, I mean, that's really super close. Really super close. So that's probably one of the reasons why I've never really picked up that pigment individually, the P048, just because most of the time when I want a pigment like that, I'd probably want it to be more lifting and sedimentary, and these more dye-based pigments are just not gonna lift very well. Let's mix that even more toward the burnt orange. I mean, more toward the Permanent Alizarin Crimson, and you can see now, you know, now we have a spectrum of colors versus just that one kind of hue. You know, and even more fiery and beautiful. It's kind of like a muted kind of brick, natural red there now. Does anybody have any genuine Quinacridone Gold left in their stash? I do. And I have to say, the hues are actually pretty darn good. Now, the Quinacridone Burnt Orange, I'd be interested to see what happens when we mix that with Ultramarine Blue. I have a feeling... Oh, my Ultramarine Blue is quite dry. Now, that's not really an issue. You just got to wet them a little bit before you're ready to paint. but I do find Daniel Smith re-wet pretty well. I find that I typically love the black and gray mixture that I can get with ultramarine blue and transparent red iron oxide, but I'm kind of thinking it might not neutralize out quite as well with this, but we'll see. I have a feeling, but it is very transparent, and your transparent earth color will get you a much richer chromatic black. It'll much darker black too. So this is more of like a brown because, yeah, that's more of like a warm dark brown because I mixed it a little bit more toward the orange. Let's mix in a tiny bit more of that blue and see if we can go kind of black. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you can. Can definitely get like, this is like a Payne's gray kind of color. See how that neutralized out? I don't really know if I feel like it'll ever, it's definitely gray, but can I get it really truly black? Within the context of your painting, your eye will accept that as black, I think. But there we go. And we'll lighten it up so we can see that. So that's the burnt orange and the ultramarine blue. So those are just some colors that I thought to mix together. That mixed a pretty earthy green, the Quin gold, and the phthalo blue. This is a nice color, the Quinacridone burnt orange. I think it depends on what type of an artist you are. If you're somebody who enjoys wildlife and landscapes a lot, you probably would like to have that color, but bear in mind it's not going to lift for you as well as like a transparent red iron oxide would. Alright, and because I cannot leave you guys hanging, here is, and I'm running out of room on this paper, here is M. Graham's Quinacridone Gold, and just look how rich that is. Oh, that's so rich and pretty and lovely. Let me go ahead and kind of shear it out, as you can see. Out of all of the ones that I have swatched, and we have several to talk about if we want, let me know if you want to do a color comparison series because I have a color comparison series on the channel, but I mean, let me know if you want to do an episode on Quinacridone Gold, because I have M. Graham's, I have Winsor & Newton, Daniel Smith's, Coors, Mission Golds. I have several. I have so many of them. So I probably have 5 or 6 different Quinacridone Golds. We could take a look at the hues. We could see how they swatch out, the transparency, how they mix. Like we take each color and mix each brand of Quin Gold with the same blue and the same red or whatever, and give me some suggestions of what you'd like to see mixed. But I think we will do that. Anyway, so here are the mixes and how they came out. A lot of granulation because we used Daniel Smith's French Ultramarine. It really granulated quite a bit and there was decent color shift there, but for me, I kind of feel like I will use up this Quinacridone burnt orange, but I kind of feel like it's kind of it's a pass color for me. It's something I'll experiment with, but I don't think it would ever join my main palette. Is it rich and gorgeous? Yes, but I personally would rather have a transparent red iron oxide. It's more earthy. It's just going to mix better for me, and I just feel like it's more versatile and usable. But you might not feel that way. The Quinacridone Gold, I think it's gorgeous. It's really pretty. It resulted in a little bit of an unexpected mix with the green, but I do think it's very pretty. Either way, I like them. They are completely light fast, and I'll use them up. So that's it for today's video. We took a look at them, and thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have a great day and a blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.